Hi, this is Nick. I've taken some of the topics from the syllabus, created a PowerPoint deck just so I can elaborate on some of them, give you a little bit more supplemental information in the course. The first thing I'll touch on is the course itself, its goals. It's a course designed to teach students the basics of coding and then some slightly more advanced applications within GIS. So if you don't have a background with it, if you don't necessarily feel comfortable coding, that's fine. We'll get you there. We're going to begin the course using some data and for or towards some applications that are not spatial analytical, so they won't be within GIS. So your Python knowledge won't be limited to kind of what you can do within Esri software, but at the same time, that orientation toward GIS is going to influence the course design to some extent. So, for example, you'll need to get familiar with Python 2 and Python 3. Luckily, the differences in syntax or how certain statements are read or interpreted are fairly slight, but can cause errors and prevent your code from doing what you want it to do. Python 2 is the version on which ArcPy was built for ArcGIS for desktop. Python 3 is what's incorporated in ArcGIS Pro. We're going to cover both of those. As for me, I'm Nick Cuba. I'm a geographer, a human environment geographer who relies mostly on quantitative analysis, a spatial analysis, use of remotely sensed data. In doing that work, I used Python myself to do that work better, and I've since taught courses on Python. This is my second year at AUM. I'm in biology and environmental science. Some of the other courses I teach, spatial statistics, remote sensing. Currently teaching a special topics called GIS and environmental hazards. I live in Montgomery with my family. I have a daughter, and my wife's pregnant, expecting a son in September. The textbook for the course, the kind of one that I ask you to secure yourself, so a resource that won't be provided every week on the course Blackboard, is called Think Python: How to Think Like a Computer Scientist. It's a free online resource, so you can download the PDF at that URL. I believe I added a link to the Blackboard. There are, again, two versions of that. And so the version for 2 are Python 2 and Python 3. If you like looking at a physical book, for this I would recommend, unless you wanted to buy both of them, I'd recommend buying the printout or the bound copy for Python 3. It's just more available, so it's cheaper and might be more useful going forward for you. Some other resources we'll draw on are the Python books that are published by Esri Press, these being 2 that are written by Paul Zandenbergen. I'm not asking you to purchase those because we'll just rely on selections from, again, the Python 2 version, the Python 3. If it's something that you'd like to go through more thoroughly, maybe you want to hold off on that decision until you look at it, you're also welcome to buy those yourself. In terms of, I guess, non-text resources here, other things that are going to be necessary or helpful for you doing the work, I'll mention AUM's VLab. It's going to be probably very important or perhaps necessary for you to use that in the portion of the course. Here I wrote the portion of the course that relies on GIS software. Roughly that's the second half, maybe second 2/3. So not right away. but you could use it. Python's installed on those virtual machines, so you could log into those to do even non-GIS Python exercises. So for this, I've put in a request for access for all of you. Today should be enabled soon. VLab, if you haven't used it in the last few months, is working very well now. Reliable, quick, and with all applications updated to the most recent version. Another way to do GIS work, if you're local or somewhat close to Montgomery, is our GIS computer lab at AUM. So this is in the Liberal Arts building in room 310 TW, the TW being Tech Wing. 310, it's on the third floor of that building. This is also the building that education is in. As for the lab, we have Jeffrey, who will be proctoring that room, available 3 weekday evenings. So this be kind of the default hours, 5:30 to 8:30, Monday, Wednesday, 5:30 to 9:30 on Fridays. There might be occasions when Jeffrey would need to switch a day or he can't make it. And when those are foreseen, they will be announced. If you have any questions, please just reach out to me about that. Myself, I'm going to be holding office hours in the GIS lab. I haven't set the hours for those, and it might result in a change of some of the days. But I'm going to do some during the workday, I guess, kind of lunchtime hours. And then I'll aim to add probably another weekday evening or a weekend time. Times to come, in part, those are going to be determined by feedback from you. But after we talked about VLab and the AUM lab, during the next few weeks, the first few weeks of this semester, you can be a little bit more flexible because Python can be installed locally on any computer. And if we don't rely on the GIS applications, why not? Grade for the course. Pretty simple, just 2 items here. It's going to be semi-weekly coding exercises, accounting for 60% of your grade. Here, these will be posted on Blackboard. I'm going to post the first one in the middle of this week, and they'll typically be due at the end of the following week. You won't have less than 1 week to work on any of these. The product for this, the thing you would upload, would always include the script that you write. So this is just a text file with a .py extension that's formatted in a way that it can be executed. It may also include a file or a map, something that was generated from the script. So for the first, I want to say 2 or 3 exercises, your scripts won't generate permanent files, something that endures, so you don't need to worry about that. But going forward, they will. And then the remainder, 40% of your grade, will come from 2 tests. So these are open book exercises. Again, they're not, the plan is to have them in your hands for an extended period of time, multiple days. Time should not really be anything that holds you back here. These will have questions in the formats like multiple choice, have you look through pre-written code. So here, this being kind of a code that is printed out, it's not something in the computer. You would be just asked to read through it, identify what it's trying to accomplish, and because it's a test, identify the errors in it, the things that are going to cause it to go wrong. And also would include some short answer questions. The late submission of assignments. So typically, if you submit them late, just mark down whatever grade you would normally have by 10%. For one of these assignments per person, don't worry about it. Things come up. And if you're late a few days, toward the end of or at the end of the semester, when I'm counting your grade, I will not take 10% off of that one assignment. And third, if you have an ongoing problem, this could be, could be COVID. It could be anything that's preventing you from handing in assignments every week, but not necessarily preventing you from withdrawing from the course. Just reach out to me early on or soon after you learn of this, and we'll figure something out. If it's possible to, for a period, shift work around, or conversely, if it's not going to be possible, we'll try to figure that out soon. One topic that I'll discuss here from the syllabus is academic dishonesty. I think the text on the syllabus is pretty standard for that, but in practice with coding, with programming, it can be a little bit different. So this kind of had 2 bullet points to try to elaborate on. One is that when you're programming, you're not really expected to type out each single character when you're writing a long script, or when you're modifying a script to do something slightly different than what it was used for before. It would early on in the course, we are going to type out everything. But once you have those scripts, you're able to copy paste from them in a way that would be weird to do if you were writing papers, or even doing GIS work. You wouldn't use the same data for every assignment over and over again. For coding, you kind of can. You'll have different objectives for each exercise, but as you do more, you'll have kind of a bigger repertoire to draw from. But your ability, at least kind of not initially in this course, but in a few weeks in, your ability to find examples that are relevant may be there and it may not. So you want to make sure that no matter how you get something done, that you're able to recognize why it works, and maybe to go back and try to do that yourself. Because the next time you're facing a wall, you might not be able to be successful in this. It's not like, I don't know, with a paper where you just got to get something in and the next paper is the next paper. You want to learn these skills and become good at it, or become able to do it. So in this course, the first thing you do when you approach a problem is try your hardest. It might be challenging, but try to think through it. And we'll run through strategies for how to do that. But if you do rely on other code to modify, do make note of it. So it's not kind of a citation system, but you'll learn about comments in your scripts. That's where you can put it. Or in the context of this course, you can write that in the kind of the notes as you submit. Lastly, I want to set up video calls with each of you. Just want to do a kind of initial check-in during the first week or so of the course. Here I kind of call out the days 18th to 25th, so tomorrow and a week after. It's just ideal. If you need to do it the day after, okay, no problem. So I'm doing this just to gauge your backgrounds and interests. I've done that before using kind of survey questionnaires on Blackboard, and that's kind of helpful for me in maybe picking suitable assignments or data sets to use, or, for example, figuring out what office hours I'm going to do. I want to do something that's helpful for the most of you, or the greatest number of you. but also, I think this call just lets me get to know you a little better than a questionnaire could, and maybe, hopefully, gets you more used to or open to dialing in to the office hours that I will hold over Zoom every week. So please email me, ncuba, ncuba at aum.edu. 3 options of days and times that would work for you. So if you're not in the central U.S. time zone, just let me know which time zone you are in so we can figure that out. If nights and weekends are necessary, that's fine. I'll find a way. Not a big deal. And then I will resolve any conflicts, say between students, whose earliest time might be the same, and I'll respond with a Zoom link and time to do that call. I look forward to getting to know all of you and helping teach you how to leverage Python for your GIS work. Take care.